weren't. But anyway, we're going in the next round.
We are going into the next round. And what map is
the
it?
tank picks here. Oh my goodness. Look at what Floppy's brought. It's the Sand River special. And Anthony in an E5. I was focused on Floppy. Okay, Smiley, you take it away. E5 or Udez? What do you want to talk about?
Okay, so the E5 most likely is going to play K0. They're going to sum up a K0. Or he's here to get resets. But I think he's getting escorted by the IS-7 and the CS-63 to play K0. Now, the Udez, whatever you want to call it, the 15-16. If Floppy doesn't bleed and get blind fired in crazy copious amounts up here, then I think he'll be fine. Now, we have seen other players like Ober play in this tank, and it did not work out. Yeah. Mainly because of how weirdly flat and how steep some of these angles are. It's so hard to get the gun depression.
And it's an awkward tank to play. If you have not been playing it a lot, it is awkward. You have to be
almost,
like,
I personally think that because the turret is on the back end of this tank, it plays worse up here. Though if you look at his HP, I feel like that might be the reason. And also this for resets. Because an STB would have to...
Wallach's getting punished a lot for those resets. He's down to 640 HP, taking a lot of damage, I believe. Yeah, it's from the CS as well in C2. And maybe External's bad chat, I'm not sure, but now they are a little bit stuck. External's gonna have to get down. And actually, Dark Ninja picks up the kill. Dark takes one shot in return, though, from Captain Jack. Now a second. But he does pick up wall hacks, and now it's just the Udez for resets. Unless Coma can get some
I don't think the Udez can get resets because the 113 is actually farming him.
It has to be just Coma getting it with the Udez lighting, but
and the E5 is most likely... Yeah, he was getting farmed by the 113.
He's gonna try to sit on him. But Blue taking a lot of damage, getting clipped by the bat chat. Maybe a little bit of a mistake, kind of doing that problem where you try
but he looks like he got safe. He got safe.
Yeah, he will live. But now the cap continues, and there's 18 seconds, and Nexus and Onion have begun firing at those guns at range, knowing that they have a little time.
Oh, they're actually gonna get off here.
Off the cap.
They're just looking to pick Anthony now. Anthony is their pick.
I
don't know how many shots Brett has.
He should be loaded by now, or about to be loaded, and they know Anthony's a pick, and even the weak side fight is actually going the way of External and Dark. And Anthony down to 500 HP, he's just dead in a second. Nexus doing a little hippity hop, and Dodo picking up the kill.
Loop might get taken out here by Brett. We have no idea. But it looks like Captain Jack losing a 2v1 as he catches on fire.
Yeah, it was a 2-on-2 that they lost, but I don't know exactly because it was also an IS-7, and
these matches are
a little slow.
Are literally going.
I did Team Flare. This is.
I mean, I did say this was going to be in favor of Team Flare, but I didn't think this much.
They had sparks. They had glimpses of this, even on Wednesday. But they were still struggling a little bit with just needing it every round.
Right. For all we know,
this is if this is them now, if this is the new normal, then Team Flare may be the top team in the
For all we know, some of them may have had some free schedules this weekend, and they scrimmed a lot. You know, all it would take is probably I would say a dozen hours with these guys playing together consistently for it to kind of just link up. Whereas I know Jack has had a hard time getting even one scrim a week on a Saturday. So.
Yeah. And it isn't over yet, but Flare's just up 3-0, and Jack can still afford to lose and still be first at the end of this. And it's just like we said,
they're one of the few teams that can get away with losing. Though, do they want to lose against Team Flare is the question, right?
Yeah,
with so many other teams to face.
#1 there, getting out almost 3K. Floppy still got 2,400 in his Udez. Brett getting out 1,300. Anthony and Wally each getting out, I think, 1 shot each. And then Coma getting nothing going.
And
I think Coma was
so,
the i7 on the other side, but Dark Ninja, my God, 3,502 kills.
so we don't really know what Anthony's purpose was. I mean, he did go to K0, and then like the stuff was popping off so fast because like me and you have discussed before, Sand River attack is consistently won by getting what? Aggressive on that cap there. And what did Team Flare do? Not only did they get aggressive, but they also countered the resets. They countered both reset tanks, right? They countered the Kronwagen and they countered the Udes. And what is the result? 6,268 like HP lead in a 6v6.
They simplified it. They said, look, here's 2 things that are going to happen. They're either going to go send their tanks north and try to anchor in the rocky area in the north. And if they do, we'll make a flex call to either push to where the Kronwagen is, or we're going to push to the north. Or they're playing south and doing some split, in which case we've got the tank, we've got the CS and the bat in the back to basically punish the Kron, and then we're just good to go. That's like what they want to see. But yeah, they just simplified it and said, no, we're not going to do this. Let's spot everywhere and just kind of meander around. And they did it with fast tanks that had high DPM and high punish. They did it with 113s. What was it? 113 and double VZ. They did it with tanks that can just get the lead out and a Kron. But yeah, now Flare's defense. Is it going to be that mouse? I liked their defense last week, or it was either Wednesday or Monday.
Oh, yeah, the mouse. It was Wednesday with the mouse.
And there was another team that it looked like they had been scrimming because they ran a similar thing, but then it didn't. They were missing a piece.
It was Tomatitos.
Yeah, I think it was Tomatitos.
It was Tomatitos and like Fluky like overpoked in the i7 instead of letting Sebastian take the hits. And then when I discussed it, Fluky was like, imagine Sebastian taking hits. And I was like, well, don't put him in a mouse if he's not willing to take hits for his team. You know what I mean?
I thought their problem was, I think in that game they had like a
It wasn't even that wasn't even
and they were facing like more mobile tanks, so they couldn't.
It wasn't even that wasn't even their problem. Their problem was like Hector and Serve just dying for free. Like Hector got 2 shots off and Serve got 3. You know, so it was like 15. So like you know, whatever an i7 HP pool is and a super conk together.
It is that same
that's like over 5K, right?
Flare on defense.
And then it ended up being like almost a 6K trade, borderline 6K trade for only like barely 2,100 in return. I mean, that's just not good. I mean, this is
AFK is super light, by the way. Their heaviest is an IS7 and 1 Kron. They have double bat CSSTB. And Flare, I think, is running the exact same lineup that we saw before. Maybe one tank is different, but I think that, I mean, the double bat T100 with the mouse, those are the same. But against this from Jack is AFK, they're going to have a little bit of difficulty playing the weak side just because Jack is AFK has technically more mobility.
And so Team Flare is, they're kind of becoming, I feel like, the staple of Sand River, where like a lot of teams are like, should we ban Sand River against Team Flare? But the problem is too, is they're also kind of known for steps as well. And I feel like every other team is terrible on steps for the most part.
It feels like a map that people haven't gotten good practice on, or they haven't played enough in the league to like have something settle.
Right. And so what you end up having, so this is why Team Flare is like, could most likely take this out overall, because they are good on maps that like other teams just are not good on. And so when you have to, here's the thing, when the call, because I think Germ will understand this, there's a lot to this than just beating a team on another map. Because let's just say for example, Sheep hates Murrow, right? He's like, I refuse to play Murrow, I have to ban Murrow. Well, if he bans Murrow against Team Flare, then basically, essentially, especially if it's like the first ban, essentially that means Team Flare is either going to pick, they're going to get their pick. They're either going to get Sand River or Steps, you know? And like, obviously,
you lose the ability to ban appropriately. If you have to ban something always, it's fine at the beginning of a season as you're like, I don't have practice on every map, but if you're not able to play every map at least competently, you lose the ability to, like you said, ban your opponent's best map.
Yep. And banning your opponent's best map is like a key way to take yourself to the finals. And it always has been. It really always has been. Some of the best teams, you could argue, weren't the best teams. They were just able to utilize the system as a whole to win out. But at the end of the day, that's the league. And that's what you have to be capable of doing. And at the end of the day, you can't complain. Because you can ban maps too. You can ban maps and you can pick maps too. So you have to use that fundamentally to your advantage. And it seems like Team Flare has been a team where, because if you think about it, Team Flare is 100% really good on Sand River. And yet we consistently see them playing Sand River. And so that's why, oh my God.
In the open, he's at 900 down to 400. He's probably dead. Dodo picks him up from downtown. Did he just die in the spot Ali died at in the STB early in the season?
Yeah, where they were trying to cross, because you can cross there and get safe.
But he needs to cross from, like, he needs to, like, back up, take a different route in to have a better chance and get up speed. But even then, it's still a risk. I'm not saying it's not a risk, but, like, dying there is really bad. And they all were waiting for it. That bat chat was shooting, and...
I mean, now it's literally, at this point, it's like...
Ball up and push and just, I don't know.
I mean, can you push into that? I mean, they already had, like, they already literally had, like, what? 1,500 more hit points because of the mouse.
I mean, Nexus is in a T100. You could think like he may miss all of his shots and explode. Then it's even.
I mean, an IS-7 and T100, I feel like aren't even picks personally. I mean, you have to play an IS-7 like Nexus for it to be an even pick. You know what I mean? Like.
Well, that's what I was saying. It's the T100's Nexus, so Wallhacks.
I know,
but there, I think,
that's what I'm saying.
I'm picking on Nexus.
Well, I'm also picking on Nexus, but we're both picking on Nexus for different reasons. Like, I'm picking on Nexus because, like, picking him doesn't mean shit, right? Because he's the caller. It just makes them better. Like, it just makes Team Flare better, right? Whereas, like, at least if he was in the IS-7, it'd be a little bit better because, he'd do like 800 damage in it or something. I don't know. I just saw him do 800 damage on the 113, and it just reminded me of it. But I mean,
reminds me of Nexus. No, I'm sorry. Nexus, I love you. I'm sorry. It's just sometimes the jokes are served up. I played Clan Wars and stuff on Nexus. I've known Nexus a long time too. It's just memes, chat. Relax. But Nexus will spot Floppy here in a moment.
I don't think
gets the shot of damage. High rolls for 331. Really good. And then external bounces, so he doesn't even get the spotting damage for it.
And look at Dodo just literally just free poking in a mouse angled.
He's just standing there like, what you gonna do?
What does the mouse have gun depression wise? Like 10, right? It was a 9
it's higher
or 8.
than what you would think, but the problem is it's like, on a rear mounted turret. And it's also freakishly tall.
Right. I think it's actually a lot. I think it's like 10. And the problem is it's just so big and tall. But of course, of all the people, this man would know how to get gun depression on this ridge. And just because, I mean, they saw that.
Really specifically there to try to get the angle as best he can. He still has to expose himself, but the thing is it's a mouse and it's not an auto.
I would say that, to be honest with you, knowing and being able to manipulate the terrain is probably one of the last vestiges of what makes what turns a good player into a great player. I don't know if you agree with me or not, but I really do believe that. In
this format, these players become so intimate with some of the positions on maps that they know it's not just as wall hacks this position here at this slope where many people would just be like, yeah, there's like a little hill there. I've played gun depression sort of in a pub battle once. It's like, no, there's really specific different degrees of sloping in different spots. And Anthony going to cross with Wally and Captain Jack. Dodo gets the shot.
Look at that, he's hold down. Yep.
To do damage there. He's still 3,500 HP of German steel. And now Onion going to get a cheeky shot in as he takes 2 or 3
he takes
in
2
return.
to get safe, though. But, I mean, this safeness right here and the crossfire with 2 bats coming in, And I think
Yeah,
that's a super conk as well, right? I mean, it's just GG's.
External and Dark Ninja just killing Captain Jack. Jack is AFK, is a little split up, and I mean, it's over, and Wallhack's now kind of just driving forward, knowing that it's over. I mean, they knew it was over a few minutes ago, but now just finishing it out. And Team Flare, fast 4-0.
Hey,
And-
go Floppy going style points. Brett with 9 HP. And
Nexus
gets taken
kills
down
Brett.
by
Nexus MVP with 58 HP. I assume there was a ramp.
Nexus kills Brett. Does that mean Brett is not Emperor God now anymore?
It just means Brett DC'd.
True. He was downloading RAM. Okay, it's not his fault.
Hey, Brett got 1800. You know, Onion 3k, Dodo 3k, and a mouse and a kill. Like, again, just nutty. External and Dark Ninja, I don't think got to do much damage throughout, except the sniping shots on the I-7 at the beginning were important, and then the end it was just feeding cleanup.
I think what's insane is the fact that this 4-0 was pretty decisive, especially like the first one was it the first one that was close or the second one? But the other
first one, yeah, the Himmel's defense from Flare was sort of close.
3 of them have been very decisive, like insane amounts of HP left, like 8,200 HP left. You know what I mean?
Pick for free, and it's because we've had games where, remember, we were like, I know that this was a 4-0, but it was a really close 4-0. And it was like, yeah, remember that game when it was just 2 shots separating, and it was like really, really close. This was a not close 4-0 for sure. You're right. It never looked like Jack as AFK got comfortable. The most comfortable they were was on that Himmelsdorf game.
I can't remember who it was. Yeah. Was it like, I think the closest, like craziest 4-0 we've seen was like, wasn't it like FHS versus Burbology or something like that? It was like a 4-1 or 4-0, and it was like
close as well.
It was not. Yeah. It was like just so freaking close. Like all the games were close. Like it was like one tank.
That one. Oh yeah. Okay.
It was so.
Was it that one?
Was it?
Oh yeah. Because it was the Ghost Town where FHS had the bat chat split up and they were down and they still managed to win. Yeah, you're right.
Remember that, where it was like almost every match, it was just like back and forth tug of war, which was just. It was like one of our favorites, you know. I think we said that they ended that night
because we just didn't 4-0 we had ever seen.
It was just like, what? Why can't they win or something like that? I mean, some of these tiebreakers have been insane. Ooh, let me go back to that.
Number 1 for Jack Xavier. Yeah, I just pulled it up. Floppy 150, and yeah, I mean, what you said, Jack Xavier just didn't get things going.
I mean, like that's
314.
Right.
My God.
And that's what. Like and this is another example. Manus top damage on the team and only had 8,100, right? And where you look, the bottom 2 guys, like Bloop, almost did as much damage as Captain Jack, right? And that kind of shows that how these matches went tonight. Whereas like if you've seen like a really close 4-0, like the damages would literally be almost identical, right? And where the fantasy points would be like fairly close. Like the top 2 on the losing team would have like, you know, probably higher fantasy points than like the 3rd and 4th guy on, you know, the winning team. And so,
well, especially if it goes 4-2-3, because then they get some wins. Like they had no wins, so they just never had a game to get going to help average it out. Yeah. I don't think anyone expected a 4-0 like this. I felt like today was going to be the potential. I said like it was time for Team Flare, and that like if they didn't get going today, it was going to be hard for them to get going. And I expected them to play better than what they had been, but I didn't expect this. I don't think anyone expected it. We knew that they were capable of it, but if this is the new norm, then
look at the standings now.
Oh yes. Jack is AFK in first, 22. Then you have, what? Flare, is in second with 21 now, right behind them. So Jack's AFK still in number 1.
FHS is 3. That's crazy. Burbology is now
with Burbology, but I guess
4th.
They beat Burbology, right?
They beat Burbology. They would win the tiebreaker.
Technically ahead of them, right?
And so this is what wasn't like Jack is AFK and Burbology were like the top 2 teams, right? Throughout this
I
league pretty
believe
consistently.
so, and I think Burbology was ahead of them at the end of the first round robin, or
Mhm.
they were tied.
They were
It
like
was whatever it
tied.
was. They weren't more than like a point difference at the
Right.
end of the first round robin. It
And
was really
now
close.
that's insane.
And you can see even Jack is AFK in first place, 3 tiebreakers and 1 loss. Like this was their first outright loss of the season. Actually,
Right.
they'd lost 2 tiebreakers, sure, but it's showing that 6 wins and 4 basically non-wins, if you can count the tiebreaker win.
Mhm.
And that's first place, means that nobody has established themselves as I'm number 1 for sure, because everyone's taking points off of each other.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you see things where it's like one of the teams has 40 points right now and is undefeated. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I completely understand. Like some of the leagues that we both have participated in has been like, here's the top 2 teams that beat everybody except each other, and then here is, you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, there's like usually that, right? But this has been like we've said, like the top 5 teams are just I mean, it is just a slugfest, you know? It's kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
I guess you could almost put it like slapboxing, right? Because you don't beat your opponent in slapboxing with 1 hit. It's very rare, right? Like, it
Mm-hmm.
takes multiple hits.
It's an all day affair.
Exactly. And so it's like, that's what this is. I mean, they are just slapboxing each other for the first place. It's insane. I mean, it's in total chaos now too, you know?
And for those wondering, the World of Slapboxing Community League tournament will continue next week on Monday night, where we'll have some more matches for you guys.
And it looks
I love the slapboxing analogy, because it's almost like I've got a picture of like Rocky, you know, where it's like
right.
the sweat going flying and just everyone's just all bruised up.
Yeah,
You're right.
yeah.
Everyone's kind of no one's
Everybody,
going through unscarred.
yeah, like nobody, you know, even if you're the champion of slapboxing, you still got hit a lot, and you know,
You've been knocked out a couple times.
yeah, and bruised and stuff like that. There's no shot. You have so. A really interesting fact here that we have actually is Burbology and Toma has still not played No Hard Feelings. And so, if you look at the standings here again, I mean, I think all of us
as a free win,
right? If you consider it correct, if you consider No Hard Feelings a free win, that means Toma can pick up 3 points. So that would be what, 21? If my math's not wrong.
They'd be tied with Flair.
Mm-hmm.
So that even goes even more so that Flair needed to win a game like this today,
right?
To stay.
And then Burbology gets to 23, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that means that FHS is technically 5th if this plays out that way. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Which is
and for those wondering, 5th place goes home. 6th place goes home. It is the top 4 that are going to play in the playoffs, win the second round robin, and so it's why you want to be 4th or higher.
Mm-hmm. You do. You want to be 4th or higher. And so that is it for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. It looks like Team Flair 4-0ing Jack is AFK, while if you look at the first, I can switch here real quick. You see Tomatito's on tie losing to the Bears. I think it was a really good showing by both teams that won tonight. I think Tomatito's also had a really good showing. Because, you know, they actually on tie lost, and I think it just kind of proves to a lot of people that so the funniest part about this start of this new round robin, what did I say? I think we both actually agreed that people should watch out for Tomatito's and Team Flair, because those are the two most those teams are the 2 most likely to start upsetting matches, right? And start taking wins off of teams that people think that are just, you know, solidified teams that just win against them. And like, what has been happening? They've been taking points off of teams, or they've been completely winning against teams that people, you know, and like you said before, There's literally like 5 teams that can just I mean, if they just come packing every day that they play and they're just on it and they're just focused. I mean, they could just win. They could win. And I'm just happy and excited for next week, you know? And so what else do you have to say, Jerm? Other than
no, that's pretty much it.
Pretty much it, right?
Oh, Dodo's saying something. Dodo's saying that Nexus is a solid caller. He did not call him a solid player, though. I'm just memeing. No, we try to talk about as many people as we can. It's just sometimes difficult, and we're kind of been concentrating more on some of the additions.
It's hard to talk about 12 individual players in a 8-minute time frame, chat. It really is.
But
so
to
if we
be
pick
honest,
on
anyone
one guy
on these teams right now, have proven that they are good players. Like, for anyone wondering, anyone on any of these teams, Jax, AFK, Burbology, Flare, Tomatitos, FHS, and No Heart, all of them are we're talking about the top 1% of players in North America, like, period, right now, just to be on basically a bench on one of these teams. So by no means everyone here is more than competent, more than capable, and have won at high levels of competition before. So for sure, just wanted to clear that up. But yeah, I guess we're done here. Smiley, people can find you at twitch.tv/SmileyRage, right?
Correct.
Just like it's spelt over, all the way over that way.
That way. And I do not have it up, but I will put it up. Yeah. He is Germ_NA.
And yeah, I guess we should host somebody tonight. Who should we send them to?
I don't know. I was thinking about playing Frontlines tonight, maybe.
Oh, then I can just host you. If you're going to go play Frontlines, I'll just send them to Smiley.
And then also, I usually like to play on Friday just so people can get their drops if maybe they didn't come during the weekday, because drops end on Saturday morning, right? Like a weird time, like 4 o'clock in the morning. So if they want their drops, they can kind of just chill, with me.
So if you're at my stream, just stand by for a second, join the raid, and go to Smiley's. And if it's like offline, he's going to have to go offline for a second, just refresh.
Correct. Yep. I'm going to have to go offline.
And you can get your drops if you haven't gotten them either.
Take off the delay, because I don't think that would be fun to watch Frontlines in a delay and then not have any interaction with the chat and the streamer, right? I mean, could you imagine? Just think about it this way. Imagine making fun of me, but me not noticing it for 8 minutes. Terrible. Or no reaction for 8 minutes. Oh, that's just it's terrible.
It's awful. It's like one of those things for people that have not streamed before, don't know stream. It is not fun to stream like on delay with like no chat interaction, because you like look over at your chat and you go, actually, yeah, they're talking about that thing that happened.
I own my mistakes. Like, my mistake is actually a perfect example of that. Because if we didn't have to stream on delay, I would have gotten spammed. Bro, you switch scenes, right? But they can't. And I end up typing like 5 minutes before it happens. I go, everybody go to Germ stream. I don't switch scenes. And then they all just like were like, bruh, come on, man.
It happens.
Yeah, it does. No, actually, somebody was talking about how they casted another league, and they said, don't worry, I've did that before, but with Strat Sketch and stuff like that. It does happen. I'll try not to let it happen again. At least I didn't lag this time and then stream with no delay and then have to restart. I streamed like 3 times that day.
That never happened. Anyway, have a good weekend, guys. Go watch Smiley as this ends, because I'm in the past or the future. Well, now I'm in the present. Have a good weekend. Be safe.
He is omnipotent.
For the rest of you, I'll see you on Monday.
Germ is omnipotent. All right. You guys have a good one. Catch you later.